Whatever it is you're doing, whatever you're trying to accomplish, the process is actually the most important part of this desire, this need, this want.
In my heart, where I find the truth.
Who you become during the process is far more important than achieving the goal.
No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this very moment in time. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of Being You, the journey back to yourself. Thank you for taking the time to tune in, to listen, and to give yourself permission to be transformed. It's ultimately up to you. I am Ade. I am your transformation agent. I am your beingness artist. I am that I am. I am here to serve some soul food for you in this very moment, supporting you on your journey back to yourself. It is good to be back here, sitting down, recording this as I anticipate what's to come. Though I have some things, I have a note here, and I know that as I continue to share, I will catch new insights, wisdom that I will be sharing with you. All of this to serve as guidelines for how you want to live this thing called life, expressing as you. As spiritual teachers, that's all we're ever doing. Giving you a guideline, an outline for what is possible. And the real work is you applying what you hear, what you receive, the insight that you catch, the aha moments that bubble up inside of you. As I always say, it's good to notice the aha moments. However, if we want to really transform our minds, we must. Well, it helps to translate the aha moment into action. So, how are you doing today? No, really. That is a real question. How are you doing today? How are you doing right now? Check in and see what you notice. Check in with your body and see what comes up. If you're driving, you can just gently direct your attention inwards and just see what you notice. You may be feeling stressed. You may be feeling relaxed. Maybe you feel intense. Maybe you feel happy. Maybe you feel angry. Maybe you feel conflicted. Maybe you feel free. Maybe you feel obligated. You're feeling like, I am being taken for granted. Maybe you notice that you're really at choice at whatever you do, whenever you choose to do it, even if that looks to others like you're doing it because you've been told to do it. We always have a choice. What I'm noticing is I am present to a lot of things that are going on in my life right now. And which is, as always, the, if you will, the catalyst for today's episode. And this is episode 13. And we're going to play with this idea, with this topic. Surrendering to the process. Surrendering to the process. The process of what? Well, that's up to you. It could be the process of a creative idea that you caught this morning while you're in the shower. It could be the process of your relationship, the process of starting a new business, the process of doing the same job for the past 10, 15, 20 years. The process could be, I'm stuck. I don't know what I am to do with my life. What process are you in right now? There is a process to everything. There is a process to everything. Everything you do, everything you desire, everything you want, everything you need, everything you're creating, parenting, whatever it is, there's a process to it. And I think sometimes it's easy to ignore the process or take the process for granted and focus more on the end result or worry about the past. Being You, the podcast, is all about the journey back to yourself. And the journey back to yourself is a process of creation. It's a process of recreation. You can even say it's a process of recreation. You can playfully recreate yourself. And sometimes, I want to say often, but let's go with sometimes. Sometimes, it's easy to think the spiritual principles, the universal principles don't apply to everything, or I know, but when you look at the current state of affairs right now in the world, let's make it even more personal. When you look at the current state of your world, of your life, what is happening, you might be tempted to just throw away all the tools that you learned at this great retreat you went to a year ago, 6 months ago, last month, last week, a few days ago. The wisdom and the insight, the simple practices that help to refocus, realign, restore, and renew. We can get so overwhelmed with what we're seeing in the appearance of things, the world of effect, that we can just say, I know, but I don't have time for that. There's so much calling for my time right now. I don't have time to stop and take a breath. I don't have time to journal. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to breathe. I don't have time to think a new thought. I don't have time to go for a walk. And it's easy to say, yes, that is true. Look, but is it really true? Is it really true that you don't have the time to do what you know to do just because it appears as if your whole world is upside down? The truth is, because I have the truth, the most important time to use the tools, the insights that we download, the wisdom, the simple practices that we are aware of, the most important time to use them is when things are looking chaotic, when we are overwhelmed, when it looks like the the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. When it looks like political leaders are lying constantly and you're listening to them and you're asking yourself, they actually think we believe this, but they believe what they're saying so much so that they can tell you that with a straight face. And, not but, and you can listen to them and read between the lines, or you can just choose to do something different. Something that is moving you forward in the direction of the process that you're in. There is nothing that is happening in your world, in my world, in our world right now that is not supposed to be happening. We tend to say, this is not supposed to be happening. And I get it. There are times when I have experiences and I'm like, this is not what I planned. This is not what's supposed to be happening. About a year ago, I was in that space. I do not belong here. I do not belong in this detention center. Spirit said, well, if you don't, who does? Talk about a smackdown. What we are experiencing globally, nationally, internally, in our family, personally, everything is the result of many actions we took in the past. And we can even say of actions that weren't taken. Maybe because we thought we didn't have any choice. We don't know what to do, so we chose to do nothing. That's right. Do nothing. And sometimes doing nothing is the best. It's yielding to the flow of life. And again, you have to do your own spiritual work to know when to yield, when to do nothing, and then when to do something. Or maybe it's when to be something. Like, who do I want to be in the midst of all this overwhelmment that's happening? Who do I want to be in the midst of this chaos? Who do I want to be once I achieve this goal, this desire? Who do I want to be 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years from now? If you look up the meaning of process, it's defined as a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. The meaning of process, a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. What are you trying to achieve? Are you being pushed by pain or pulled by a vision? I always say, whether you're pushed by pain or pulled by a vision, you're still heading in the right direction. But you can yield to the vision and let it pull you rather than being pushed by pain. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever you're trying to accomplish, the process is actually the most important part of this desire, this need, this want. I'm not getting caught up in, well, you don't need anything or you don't want that. You can do all that, but sometimes that's not necessary. Sometimes it's just important to accept, like, I feel like I want A, B, or C. Want it. I feel like I need this. So be it. Oftentimes, it's not what we think that gets us in trouble or that causes challenges in our lives. It is what we think about what we think. Think about it. If you have a thought that's neutral, then it moves on. But if you have a thought about something that you think you'll be judged for if someone else knew what you were thinking, or if you express that thought to somebody else, it will have you act a certain kind of way because now you're judging the thought because you think it's going to be judged. Now that's a process, but I won't go down that path. Just think about it. There's a process to anything and everything that we do. The process is the most important aspect of whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to attain. And how you react or respond to what is being revealed in the process, during the process, will determine your result. Because if you're trying to achieve a certain goal, but on the journey to achieving the goal, you are impatient, you're cutthroat, you're mean, just have a funky attitude. Well, guess what? And you can say, well, I'm doing this because I know where I'm going. I gotta keep my eyes on the, but what is it? I gotta keep my eyes on the prize. Yeah, true. However, once you get to a point where you can hold on to the prize, you're still that impatient, funky, mean person. Because the consciousness that obtains sustains. Whatever mindset you use to achieve something, it's the same mindset you have to use to maintain it, to sustain it. So the process to achieving a goal, to achieving whatever you're trying to achieve, maybe develop a better relationship with your children, with your teenager. Develop a better relationship with your neighbor. Maybe the process is finding a spiritual center or finding a spiritual practice that works for you. Who you are in between where you are now and where you want to be makes a difference. So it's important to kind of ask yourself when you're moving through life, when you experience a delay because you thought it's supposed to happen a certain kind of way, but now you feel like you're being delayed, or maybe somebody disappointed you because they said they're going to show up and support you in this process, this goal that you have. Or maybe something happened that you say, this is a distraction. Or maybe you're feeling like that, I don't have enough time to do this. Or here's a big one. I know I can relate to it. I often sing that song every now and then, and I have to catch myself. Feeling like you don't have enough resources to move forward. And the reason why this topic is so important to me is because I am learning more about the process in a new way. We don't know. You don't know what you know until you know. And there are some things you don't know that you don't know until you know. I think last episode I told you that by the time you hear this episode, I will be telling you that I launched Life Conversations Radio, lifeconversationsradio.com. And Life Conversations Radio was a internet radio that Ambassador and I started, my former wife, back in 2006. And I think around 2012, 13, maybe? I don't know. Well, actually, maybe 2004. Yeah. It was 2014, not 2004. 2014-ish. Around that time, I had to just pull back because I was going through a lot of changes, and it took a lot to maintain it, energy-wise, financially, and there was several hosts, and there was just a lot that was unfolding in my life. And I knew I needed to step back. So went off air with the intention to come back in about 3 to 4 months. That didn't happen. It's taken, talk about a process, right? It's taken 4 to 5 years for the relaunch. And last week when I told you, because I talked to the person, the organization is going to provide the hosting and everything, and I've been very excited. So I had emailed him and I said, okay, well, let's move forward, ask him about softwares that I'm going to need and everything. Without boring you with too much details, in between that time, he's a yes, I'm a yes, but there's some things that needs to happen in between his yes, my yes, and actually having the radio back on air that I wasn't aware of. The good news is there are other things that has been happening in my life that has caused me to really pay attention to the process. The process. So there's been emails back and forth. And today, about 3 or 4 times, I've gone back and forth with the organization. Basically about how much we agreed on being charged and the invoice and how they're going to invoice me. There was some error there that they had the wrong rate. And I was like, no, we had a different agreement. And that was corrected. And now I replied back and trying to see, just work it out. To be quite transparent, they want 6 months in advance. I was under the impression that it was going to be a monthly payment. So I'm trying to negotiate a monthly payment for 2 months. And then in about 2 months' time, or the third month, I'll pay the 4 months in full. Why am I sharing that with you? All of that I didn't have in mind last week. I didn't even know it was good. Those things were going to happen. I just thought, I'll say yes. He says yes. He sends me an email. We sign and we get the radio station back on air. But there's a process. So appreciating the process and listening to the process allowed me to dance with what may look like a delay if I wasn't aware, if I wasn't present. If I really wasn't aligned, I can say, oh my God, there are things that I've said I was going to do this year that I've had to reschedule again, and now I've moved it to next year. Pulled by a vision. There's just been a lot of things that's been happening personally, and just in trying to get that telesummit going, it's like, I just checked in and Spirit said, let it go. Do it next year. All of that, learning to let go, learning to trust your inner voice, the gifts that will come if you are willing to surrender to the process of where you are to where you want to be. Sometimes it's simply about pulling back, to listen, to ask deeper questions and see maybe the vision is calling you in a bigger way, bigger than you imagined. The vision for your relationship, the vision for your business, the vision for your parenting, the vision for your children, the vision for your life, whatever the vision is. We get let me speak for myself. When I receive a vision, I get the bigger picture, but I really get the small details. That's where the process come handy. Understand the process of moving from where you are to where you want to be. The process. A series of actions and steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. So if you're on this journey, and I have to say, I believe you are, because you're listening to this podcast, it's about recognizing the actions you're taking from a holistic perspective, being aware of what you feel, being aware of what you think, consciously taking steps, sometimes being a deliberate creator, sometimes being willing to say, I surrender, being willing to say, I don't know what to do next, being willing to say, I don't have the money. Is there another way we can work this out? Can we make this a monthly payment? I don't have the resources that I think I need, and call a friend and ask, do you know somebody who can help me with A, B, C, or D, or Z, or Z, if you're in the United Kingdom? If you allow it, the process will grow you. The process will grow you if you're open. The process of life will grow you. It will strengthen you. It will strengthen you if you're willing to surrender to it. Surrender is not giving up. Just to make it easier. Spiritual surrender. Spiritual surrender. When you're spiritually surrendering, you're not giving up. You're rising up. You're reaching up to a bigger vision. You're saying to yourself, you're saying to your higher self, you're saying to God, you're saying to the divine, you're saying to the source of all life, I am willing to be made new. I am willing to see differently. I am willing to learn the lesson. I am willing to yield. I am willing to align with what you're calling me to do. Surrender is actually a step up. You're stepping up in consciousness. You're rising up. It's not giving up. The process will help you become the greater you. It will move you to the next level. You're greater yet to be. And the process, here's something to really, if you don't get anything, I really want you to catch this. Who you become during the process is far more important than achieving the goal. If you achieve the goal and you're almost of the same mind, much hasn't changed. But on your journey to achieving a new goal, a new dream, a new reality, you've allowed the process to change you, to grow you, to transform you. To say it differently, once Life Conversations Radio is back on air, just the thought of it excites me, just thinking about it. And the truth is, I know that I have become a different person on this journey to getting it back on the air. Because I've learned to ask for things that I normally wouldn't ask for, because I'm worried about, as I talked about in last episode, the fear of rejection. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be looked at as whatever. But when you have a bigger vision, when vision is calling you, you either got to let go of all that BS of, oh, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look like I'm begging. I don't want to look like I'm a burden. You either let that go or bring it with you. You can't do that. And as you bring it with you, you one day just discover they don't even exist anymore. Once you embrace the thing that you're running from, you call it closer to you, it has no power over you. The process asks you to stay open. Be willing to ask for help. And even moments that are fearful, if you embrace moments that are fearful, it actually gives you an opportunity to be more creative. Like, recognize that you're afraid of this deal might go wrong. You might not get the job, but so what if that happens? Is that the end of the world? Absolutely not. Do you go there thinking, okay, I might not get the job, but let me prepare for myself not getting the job so I'm not disappointed? Okay, you can do that. But what if you just say, you know what? This job is mine. I'm going to give it my best. And it turns out you don't get the job. But the fact that you gave it your best, you have planted a seed. You send out a vibration into the ethers. And it will come back. It will come back to bless you, to lead you to the right job, to the right place. Surrendering to the process also requires that you allow yourself or be willing to look like the people that you once judged. Allow yourself to embrace the judgment that you projected on others. Because when you are stepping up and stepping out, you are going to encounter yourself in a new way. You are going to experience parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. You get to check your own belief system. And you may find that you might be resisting moving forward because you don't want to look like somebody you judged who was once in the same situation. And if you allow yourself to look at it, to be like that person, because you're saying, ooh, if you allow yourself to look at it, it can inspire compassion. Like, oh my God, I remember judging somebody, that person, for doing this, for doing that. But I didn't know. I didn't know. One of my biggest I didn't know is what a panic attack is. I thought I did. But I never really asked myself if I did it until I had my first experience of a panic attack that I thought I was going to die. And even when I did, those of you that are following me, you know this. When I did, I didn't know it was a panic attack. I had no idea what was happening. Until a medical staff or a therapist told me, yeah, you had a panic attack. And in that moment, I was shocked. And then I realized I didn't know. I didn't know that I didn't know what a panic attack was. It's like, oh, I thought I did. When people say they had a panic attack, I'm usually like, oh. But nobody ever asked me. I didn't ask myself, what is a panic attack? Because I didn't think I needed to ask. What I did know was, whatever it wasn't pleasant. And I can tell you, it's not. The process will lead you to your greater yet to be. The process of becoming. The process of recreating yourself. The process of creating yourself. The process is the present moment. It is where your power is. So when you hear, if you've read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and people say, oh, the power of now, the power of now. The power of now is about the process now. Because the actions and the steps you're taking is going to create your future. Your future is not static. Your future is not already predestined. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Whether it's to do with health, finances, relationship, your future is determined by the thoughts, the actions, and the steps you take, and how you see yourself, and your belief system, and your vision. You get to call it what you want it to be. And even if it doesn't look like what you thought it would look like, you get to define what it is. When you get to define your own life for yourself, oh, that's freedom. Nobody knows your life. Nobody knows what you're thinking. Nobody knows what is really, really important to you. Nobody knows what thoughts you wake up with. Nobody really knows, even your beloved, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your chick on the side, your dude on the side. Because the moment you open your mouth to tell them, in most cases, you've already watered down that inner experience that you had. There's a process to everything. There's a process to your spiritual growth. There's a process to healing. There's a process to having leadership that is conscientious in their action. There is a process to create a world where we recognize the power and the influence of nature. There is a process to turning the Titanic mindset of the current climate change. Internally, it happens just like that. But for it to be manifested in the world on the physical plane, it might take some time. So the goal, the vision that you have right now, the desires that you have, you may not live to see it. It may be your children's children's children. They're going to reap the benefit of what you're doing today. And just because you're not going to experience it doesn't mean you give up on it. You are part of a continuum. You're part of an evolutionary process. You are here to make a difference. You are here to plant seeds of love, of compassion, of empathy, of understanding, of oneness. There is a process to everything. Trust the process. There is a process to your life. Trust the prophet. The prophet. Trust the prophet too. There's a process to your life. Trust the process. And there is a process to life. Trust it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Being You, the journey back to yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Rate it if you don't mind. And check out my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. Sign the mailing list, and I look forward to connecting with you. We're going out, as always, with You Are Welcome Here by John Stringer. I want you to know that I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. And I believe in you because I believe in me, and because I believe in the power and presence that is within each and every one of us. Peace and blessings.
In my heart, where I find the truth, I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself, or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community.